Hi, this is Girls Who Gap with Habs and Muffy, and this week we're talking about things we've never tried or done before. Gosh, there are so many. Thanks for tuning in. Hey Habs, it's Muffy. I think this is just such a perfect topic. Things I've never tried or done before, particularly because I was tuning into CBS Sunday Morning, which I admit I do watch regularly. And this past week, they were talking about money and particularly about retirement. Don't know if anyone out there has also watched this show this past week, but one of the segments was on a bucket list and about being in retirement and what is it that you want to do during, your lifetime. And I thought, oh gosh, that's like, what haven't you done yet? Or what haven't you tried before yet that you really want to do? Not that you and I are really in retirement yet. I mean, we're kind of our early 50s, just about ready to head into our mid 50s. But, I'd rather be on the earlier end of thinking about these things than on the later end. And although I don't have a formal bucket list, I don't think it's a half bad idea, actually. And I think it helps me frame like the things I haven't done or tried before and thinking about would I want to try them or do them. Um, for me, I think the gaping hole that I really didn't engage in much in this lifetime for myself has been sports. I don't know what it was, but when I was growing up, my parents, did get my brothers involved in like soccer. And I think my younger brother played basketball and tennis in high school. My younger brother, he was probably the most athletic and the most talented with athletic skill. My older brother played things, but I don't think he was naturally talented for it. But it was just never given to me. I don't ever remember growing up being asked, do you want to play a sport? I kind of just felt like I was bad at that and that I shouldn't really engage. I was the quintessential kid who was always, when you're in gym class and you're picking teams, I was always the last kid to be picked. And even then they were like, can we just pick her and have her sit on the bench? That's true. And I think that no one ever asked me if I'd be interested or, encouraging me to try kind of got in my own mind that I'm not very good at this. When I became an adult, one thing I started doing was working out. I really enjoy and still enjoy working out. So like using my body in that way to just keep myself healthy. But also in my early 30s when I lived in Australia, I mean, Australia is such a sports-minded nation for everybody. Doesn't matter who you are. And I think that got in me, particularly with tennis. I lived on the Gold Coast, and Gold Coast was like, well, it's the quintessential surfer's paradise. There's a town named Surfer's Paradise, and it's because all these surfers are in paradise surfing. I didn't take up surfing, but I took up tennis. And I started taking tennis lessons and I started playing tennis on Friday mornings and I started playing doubles tennis. And had I stayed in Australia, I think I would be a very, very fine tennis player today. I really, really enjoyed it. And I don't think I'd turn to pickleball. I just loved tennis. I still love tennis. And I am sort of sad that I wasn't given that as a kid, like just even any thought on would you have an interest in a sport? I don't think I would have ever been good in a group sport like soccer or softball, but I really, really enjoyed tennis, playing tennis in my 30s. And I have picked it up on and off again after I moved to Seattle. So, but I think, I haven't really tried many sports. I haven't, I don't have a huge inkling toward it today, but I know that I might have had more of one if I had been encouraged. But I am really glad that I tried tennis and that I, took it up and really enjoyed it. it does leave me wondering, would I enjoy different other sports? Even like something like golf or, um, I don't know, other like individual sports. But I don't think I'm gonna find out. I have never like run a marathon. I played one time in a pickup soccer game and it was just terrible because I knew nothing about the game. Um, but I haven't tried much along those lines, which is kind of sad. Yeah. I also have not really done much with like home crafting or home projects. I'm not very like handy. I know you are Habs because I know the coffee machine that we've been, you know, kind of playing musical coffee machines this spring. But I knew you could handle the coffee machine that RK had because you do fiddle with things. You are mechanically inclined. You can figure things out like that. I have never really been able to do that. Um, I don't know if that's fine motor skills or just thinking visually. I don't know, but I have a really hard time with like handy I was gonna say handyman, but let's say handy person projects. I mean, I know when I want something done, but I often don't know how to do it, or if I do it, I'm not gonna do it very well. And this is like painting, sewing, fiddling to get things like a coffee machine to work well. Um, Stuff I haven't well, I really haven't tried or done them before because I know I'm not good at it and I'll probably make it worse. So that's why I'm always like, oh gosh, I call a person to touch up the paint or I have somebody help me with whatever little project's happening. It's very daunting. So I would say like home projects, home crafts. Like I don't sew, I don't iron. I remember we first got together with, I got together with RK and he was like, "Oh," because I wasn't working, he's like, "You could iron my shirts, right?" And I'm like, if I were to iron your shirts, they're gonna look worse than if you didn't have me iron." Sure. I just don't know how to get creases out of things with an iron. I know that's supposed to be intuitive, right? You should just, like, iron the thing and, like, make it look nice. I don't, and I can't. I know people used to iron their sheets, iron their, pillowcases, iron all their pants, all I can't do any of that. I have tried it, but, like, not for good cause. So, like, there's a lot of things, like, in the home, like sewing a button. No, I just don't even know how to even do that. Um, Interestingly enough, I mean, I always made this, like, cranberry orange pudding, and because it's cranberry, I wanted to string cranberries. Even that proved a lot of, like, problem for me, like, getting the needle the thread through the needle and making that small knot so that you could then thread it through the cranberries, and I was pricking my finger with the needle, and then the knot wasn't good enough to hold. Oh my gosh. So that's what I'm talking about, like, these home crafts, these home projects, like, they're so lovely, I so want them to be in my life, and yet I don't really try them or do them because I know I'm not good at it. Um, I think about adventures, and I am adventurous, but maybe not in the way that some people take on adventures. Like, I would not go to New Zealand and bungee jump. I would not skydive. I haven't ever tried them or done them before, and that's because I'm kind of scared and just does not sound like fun. If I can adventure and I am interested, then I will do it. Like I did paraglide. I was super scared, but we were in Utah and I made the appointment and interestingly enough, like you don't have to do anything because you've got someone who's the expert and you're just going to go up with him and he's going to take you around and everything. But it was be pretty easy. You just kind of run down this hill with this person and then, you take off. Well, when we started running, I just completely fell down. This guy was so good though. He immediately picked me up and got me going and we were like up. Like I really needed that pickup. Like I'm not good at these things. But I did want to do paragliding and I did do it. I've also done parasailing. But things like bungee and skydiving where I know my stomach is gonna just fall right out or I'm gonna get real dizzy or something catastrophic could happen to me. I mean, paragliding, it could happen too, but, like, those I just feel like, "No, I'm not going to do that." So, like, those are not things I've tried or done before, but they're not even on my bucket list. I wouldn't ever wanna do them. And, yeah, I think about lots I mean, I try when I think about adventures, like, "Oh, yes, I do wanna do that." Um, but those that I don't, I just don't. And those are some of the things I've never tried or done before, and I'm not going to try or do them before. I always thought I was an adventurous eater and that I would eat anything. And then RK pointed out to me that I hardly eat anything. And he's probably right. Like I don't eat lamb. I don't eat veal. I don't try it because I don't want to eat baby animals. And also I've read about the conditions of those baby animals to get them tender for us to eat. I'm like, I just can't take it. Um, so I don't ever try it. Really like exotic things. I don't like insects. Like we've been in lots of different places when we've traveled, and no, I just don't eat that adventurous. Interestingly, though, on CBS Sunday Morning on their segment, they said when people dine with friends, they will eat something novel to kind of show their friends that they're open to something new rather than getting their favorite thing. And I'm like, I won't do that. I'm like, wait a second. I did do that recently. What I did was I was with two friends, more acquaintances than friends, and we were at a French restaurant. And I don't know, I wasn't that excited by the menu actually at all. But I saw this croque monsieur and I thought, that might be interesting. I think it's like ham and cheese. I don't like ham. And like, I'm really becoming quite lactose intolerant. And this croque monsieur has a lot of ham and a lot of cheese on the bread. So I order this thing and I feel like I'm all being really novel and like, ooh, I mean, it's a really standard French dish, right? But for me, that was like something like really reaching and I was like eating it. I think I took like 3 bites and I was like, I'm not hungry. But I wanted to like probably show that I have an openness or a novelty. But I just, yeah, I wouldn't, I was just thinking like, it was so interesting to hear that statistic that people will do that. And I never thought I did, but there I was doing it. I mean, a croque monsieur is pretty ordinary thing to order, but for me, it was this novel thing. But I don't there's a lot of things I don't eat. I don't eat chicken on the bone. I don't yeah, there's a lot of coconut. I remember this one restaurant I went to out in Washington State, and you have to give them all your food preferences or your limitations, and they always remember me as the person who doesn't want coconut, and they're like, "Is it just coconut? Can you put coconut oil or coconut?" And I'm like, "No, nothing." I'm like, "Okay." So actually a long laundry is I mean, I guess I have tried that to know it, but not much. A lot of things I don't eat, I've never had or done before, and I just yeah, I'm just not open to it. So it's very interesting, like, maybe I should open myself up to certain things, but then I think about my list and I'm like, "No, I don't wanna eat that stuff." It's just like I think there's something to kinda sticking to what you want as you get older. The other thing I've never done or tried before, this might sound kinda odd, but I never had children. So I never grew another life inside of myself. I never tried it, I guess. It's kind of funny to say I never tried having a kid. Um, but I never experienced I know you experienced this twice in your life, in your body, carrying another life, carrying a growing being, and I'm fascinated by it. I have so much wonderings and fantasy around it because I'm a woman and my body biologically is meant to do that, and I didn't do that. So for me, it's always this kind of wondering around what that would be like to have something in your body for 9 months growing inside of you that then comes out of your body and becomes its own body and entity of this world. I have never tried that before and I've never done it before, and I can only imagine about it. And that's not going to be on my bucket list because biologically at this age, it's lights out for me on that end. But it does a woman, like for me as a woman who is childless and that is by choice, but I am childless, it'll always remain something of a fantasy, rather than something that was experienced as a reality. And I kind of think that's interesting too. But I mean, never tried, done before. Like some of these things I may have tried and then just rejected it. Some of these things I know I'm not good at, so I'm not going to do them. It runs the gamut. But like I think it's a fascinating topic about what you've never tried or done before, especially at this age. What do you think, Habs? What have you never tried or done before?
Yeah, Muffy. So you asked what things I've never tried or done. And I really had to reflect on that. I think I've tried a lot of things. And I've done a lot of things, which, I was going through because you were talking about you never played team sports. I tried playing team sports. I played individual sports, all those different things. I'm like, yeah, I've done this or that. Uh, the things I've never tried are really specific. Like, I've never had cotton candy. I mean, I guess I never went to a fair growing up. I've have I been to a fair? I mean, yes, I've been to yeah, but they were more like kind of hokey fairs, like arts and crafts and stuff like that. I don't say hokey, but that's not fair, but not like a true fair where there's a Ferris wheel and a kissing booth. So yeah, I've never been to a place like that before. And where I imagine that they sell cotton candy. I've never had it, nor will I ever have it, to be honest. I am too old now to try it. I don't want to. It just grosses me out for some reason. I don't know why. Um, I have not bungee jumped either, but I would be willing to do it. And I've never jumped out of a plane. I'd also be willing to do that. I'm not going to say it's on my bucket list yet. And yes, I saw the CBS morning, parts of the CBS morning where they talked about a bucket list and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not pressing to go do it, but I would try it for sure. So I don't know. I don't think now that on my bucket list, things that I have are really more like travel and experiences. I mean, I guess that's an experience, but there's not a lot of things I need to do. There are places I would like to go. Um, is it the end of the world if I don't? No, but I'd like to, you know? I have actually never surfed, although I've always wanted to. I don't know if I could do it now, so that might be something I have to give up. But I know took a surfing lesson when he was in Australia for work. He had a weekend off or something, and he said it was kind of hard, but fun. It was just hard. Speaking of one thing that he's never tried is coffee. He's never had a cup of coffee. And he proclaims to me that when he dies on his epitaph, which in our wills, we both say we want to be cremated. So it's kind of a moot point at this point, haha. But he wants it to say, or wherever it to say that this man has never had a cup of coffee. He's never had coffee. He has had soda. So it's not to say that he's anti-caffeine. He just has never had an interest in coffee. I mean, I grew up with two parents that drank coffee all day long. They drank it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and even later, and it never affected them. Same as me. I mean, I don't drink coffee all day long, but I could. So I do cut myself off, but I could easily have a cup of coffee at night and fall asleep. No problem. Now, I didn't play a lot of group sports until I was an adult. And that was actually kind of hard for me. Uh, as a child, I played a lot of single sports. So I ice skated, I ran, I played the piano. That's not a sport, but I didn't really play group sports. And as an adult, I decided, um, with the influence of my husband, because he played ice hockey, that I would try and play ice hockey. And I found a beginner league and I really enjoyed it. But I also struggled with it because, playing a team sport comes like with immense pressure, at least for me. Like you have to be really good at what you're doing. And if not, the whole team fails, and that like put that stressed me out quite a bit. Like I always say, I'm very competitive, but very competitive with myself. So running for myself, granted it was also for the team, but yeah, it didn't feel like that. It was more about like being competitive with myself. Whereas like in a team sport, you really have to go out and perform for everybody else. And I really like that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I've done all these things, and that's the interesting thing. Like, as I reflected, I'm like, wow, I really have tried a lot of things. I've done a lot of things, not well, but I've done them. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of things out there that I've never done. Now, I never went on a Ferris wheel until you took me out to Coney Island with Jay, and we rode the Ferris wheel there. Oh my God, I will never do one again. I so did not like that. Granted, it was super windy, there was a storm coming, so it was kind of scary. I did not like that whatsoever. I've done roller coasters, but I don't really like them. I know I made you and Jay do one, and it was like kind of a junior experience, but yeah, it wasn't pleasant for any of us. I kind of regret that. Although at the same time, now we know we don't really like that. You talked about like never being offered the opportunity to play like a team sport or being encouraged. And I hear you. And I was thinking, like, I also wasn't offered, but I just always asked for stuff. Like, I knew very early on I wanted to play the piano. And I think in kindergarten, I was like, Mom, I want to play the piano. She's like, well, you're a little young. Let's see what you say, when you're in third grade. By third grade, I still wanted to play the piano. I'd played the piano until I was a senior in high school. Oh, I didn't have like a natural ear for it, but I have to admit, not a bad piano player. And it was mostly classical music. I didn't continue with it. At that point, I had a lot of other interests, but I did enjoy my years. I also, I, well, I probably was made to ice skate. Like my parents like had me on ice skates by the time I was one. So, but I liked ice skating and I took lessons and I almost became a figure skater, actually. I got as far as being tested, and they told my parents, yeah, she could be a figure skater. So if she wants to go that route, you can pull her out of school and she can be homeschooled and ice skate full time. My parents, of course, being my parents, were like, well, it's your decision. Habs, not Habs. But and I was like, I thought about it. I was like, well, I don't know. I kind of want to be a regular kid and go to school. So I didn't go that route. I mean, I feel like that's a lot of my life. I have a lot of almost bends. I I did run a marathon. I actually ran the New York Marathon in 2001. So the year that the Twin Towers fell. And that was really a very memorable event. I mean, any marathon is memorable, but that one in particular, I mean, I remember having to drive me early in the morning to this bus stop. And then I got on this bus with a bunch of people. I mean, I trained all on my own. I didn't train with a group or anything. And that was kind of painful, I will admit. I had this running book that this person who was a runner had written, and I followed that. But typically, a lot of people will run in running groups, and I just did it solo. Um, I remember getting there and just like trying to pump myself up. And like, I remember like standing in line to go to the bathroom. And this woman in front of me was like, oh, when I run, I just picture like I'm floating on a cloud. So there's like no pain. And I actually took that image and used it throughout my run, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. But that year, Again, the Twin Towers had fallen. Giuliani actually got up and spoke. I was on, I think it was the Verrazano Bridge. I forget which bridge you start on. With all these women, I had put a time that was a little bit faster than maybe just like the regular crowd. And all these women had like run like a bazillion marathons. So I was like, whoa, where am I? Did I do the right thing? But I think I came in at 4 hours and 12 minutes. So I'm very proud of that, I will admit. And that was on my bucket list. And I did it and I'm done. I don't need to do it again. I could, but I don't need to. Uh, I have never glided. I don't know if that's a word, but so kudos to you for doing that. Um, but I mean, as much as you had somebody pretty much doing it, everything, it's still like a little scary. Uh, I have never had tasty cakes. I know that's really weird to say, but I was at my local ShopRite recently and I saw them and I was like, yeah, I've never had them. Right. Another thing I've never had is a black and white cookie. I say that because I have a friend who thinks that my favorite cookie is a black and white cookie, but she got it wrong. It was never my favorite cookie. I've never had it. I don't know where she got that from, but it's just kind of funny because now Jay loves black and white cookies. Well, she really only likes the chocolate part, not the vanilla part. Um, yeah, I mean, that's interesting about the cooking and the sewing and the ironing. I I do cook. I mean, I will say that I learned to cook in my 50s. I learned to cook when COVID hit in many respects, and I attribute it to HelloFresh, because HelloFresh really taught me to cook. I'm still not a natural at it, but I'm better. Um, I can sew. I mean, very rudimentary. Like I can sew buttons and stuff like that. I can iron. We tend to not iron very much. I don't know those people that have time to like iron pillowcases. I mean, I, I don't have time for that, but I just think that's funny. But it reminded me of when I worked at Victoria's Secrets. Yes, I worked at Victoria's Secrets in college. It was a horrible job because mostly you were put in a room, like there were multiple rooms, and you couldn't leave that room. And I could never work the cash register. So I was super bored. The only fun thing was they had this steamer. And so you would steam these like silk garments. And that was kind of fun. But I mean, I will have to say really quick aside funny story is uh, I had several times, like, groups of, like, businessmen come into Victoria's Secret and, like, kind of, like, flirt with me about how they were buying this or that for their wives. Do not recommend that at all. I mean, not that, but I don't recommend the store. I mean, it's just kind of a funny thing as I look back. I mean, that would never fly today whatsoever. I also haven't been in a hot air balloon. Yeah, I'm like kind of torn on that one. I don't think I really want to do it. Now I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico one year when they have like a famous annual balloon festival and I saw them in the sky and they're super pretty. But I just imagine there's so many things that could go wrong. I don't think I would like that feeling of flat, like floating in the air and really not having a lot of control. I don't know. Oh, another thing I've never done, I've never gone to space. I mean, who has, right? But I mean, recently a whole bunch of women went to space. Woohoo, I guess. I mean, it seems like there's better things that money could be spent on. I'm just saying, but good for them. And you know what? I never plan on going into space. I don't want to go into space. I have no interest whatsoever. A lot of people do. I do not. Um, I have never like coded, like, the coding, and I have no interest in it. I mean, I remember back in middle school, my dad was like, "Oh, you have to take this Apple class." So it was like using a Mac, like Apple and all the like Apple X or Apple A or whatever it was, and it gave you different commands. I hated that class. I mean, I did it because my dad wanted, and he actually did see into the future that like maybe coding would become a thing. I never used it. So, I mean, I guess I coded, but it was in a class, and I honestly don't remember anything from it. Now, I will say my mom also made me take a typing class. And I was really good at it because I played the piano. Like, if you're good with playing the piano, you kind of get the feel of playing, like typing. And so I can type very well, I will say. I don't peck like A does. And so it was actually kind of valuable. They do actually teach it here and there, depending on the teacher in like elementary school, but not very well. So I'm not saying it should be a class, but, I'm dating myself for sure. I did not try a croquet monsieur. I'm terrible at French until I met you. Well, I mean, until I went with you to a French restaurant and you were like, oh, that's this blah, blah, blah. I actually really liked it, I have to admit. But I totally agree with you. And like with the segment on CBS where they were talking about how people don't try new things unless they're with like a big group of friends because like you're kind of, I don't know, pressured into doing it, but like it's very subtle. But I remember in college, I did a semester in Washington, D.C. at American University. And one of the students in my program was from Ethiopia. And he took us to an Ethiopian restaurant. And we sat down cross legged and ate the food with our fingers. And I loved it. I have to say, I loved it. Um, and I've eaten a lot of different things in a lot of different countries. Everything from crocodile to, I don't know. I know that grosses you out, Muffy.
Hey, Habs, it's Muffy. It grosses me out. Yes. And yet I've also tried things as well. Like when we were down in Chile, one of their things they eat all the time, kind of akin to our deer, which we call venison, is a guanaco. Um, and that's like an ostrich type animal that's like roaming the plains everywhere. And it is sort of like a bird meat kind of thing. I don't like a lot of meat on the bone actually, so I didn't eat. I think I might have had a fillet of it and it was fine. Kind of tough. Um, but I have tried things. Also, when I was in Paris, I tried pigeon. They make pigeon there. It's like a real deep specialty. I did not care for it at all, but I have tried some things as I've been around the world and this and that. And certainly RK has opened me up to trying lots of things, especially in Southeast Asia. And I'm glad he has because a lot of it is absolutely amazing. Um, I think it is good to be open and try different foods and try different things. Um, but yeah, I mean, I always thought I was really open to different foods and stuff, but I guess without RK, I don't know if I actually would be trying so much new things. So he's a good influence on me in that way. Um, I was thinking about something I have tried before but never really mastered is learning another language. Certainly in college, I wanted to learn French and I took French, but I don't think the teachers were that great. It wasn't like, we were immersed in it or anything. Um, and I took it in high school when I think, your brain synapses are already kind of set. And you really need to learn it early and young. My little cousin who's just been born, I mean, they've already got books in Mandarin and Spanish because they want him to be Mandarin speaking and Spanish speaking. So, I mean, they're not speaking to him in it, but they are exposing him. And maybe he'll get tutoring or a teacher to teach him both early. Um, as an adult, I really wanted to learn Italian, and I started using, one of those services. I forget which one it was. Not the one you're using right now. But but I couldn't get past one of the lessons. Like I wouldn't say it the way they needed me to say it. So it wouldn't like let me go on. So I just never got to progress and I got frustrated and I let it go. Um, I am glad I tried it. I have never been able to be fluent in another language. It's very sad because my father is from India and certainly knows Hindi and Gujarati, and I could have definitely been trilingual with those two languages. And maybe had I had that, I would have been able to pick up other languages, right? Because it feels like people who are in other countries and are speaking two, three languages just because that's what they do, they can pick up other languages. I had a friend, many years ago. Oh my God, he spoke like 15 languages. And even to this day, he did a stint um, in Iraq. He worked for the UN and stuff. And he taught himself Arabic, which is just like a wonder to behold, right? Like he knows all the European languages. He knows um, some Southeast Asian, like Filipino and stuff. Like he knows so many different languages. But to teach himself Arabic was like quite the feat, according to him. But because I think he has all those language skills, he was able to do it with, it was hard. I remember him saying it was difficult, but he did it. Um, so that's something I've never been able to do is speak a different language fluently outside of English. And I'm really sad that I haven't been able to. Just because I think there's something incredible about speaking different languages. And with that person in particular, I used to have him speak for like 5 or 6 languages in a conversation just to hear the different intonations, the different way you say things. I just love that. And I'm just so very, very intrigued. I think in a past life or in a future life, I want to be a United Nations translator. I just feel like that would be so, so incredible. Um, Something I have never really tried or pursued is beer. I know you were talking about A, not having ever had coffee. I love his epitaph. So typical A. But like I have never had beer. I've never been interested in it. I don't like the smell of it. I don't like any of it. I don't like the culture around it. I don't really like the culture of drinking at all. Only when I turned 40 did I start enjoying some wine. And even now with wine, it's pretty much going to be like bubbles, like a champagne or Prosecco, very dry. Or it's going to be a deep red, like a Cabernet, and the deeper the better. I'm not a white wine person. I'm not a light red person. I'm not a dessert wine person, but like I do enjoy a deep glass of red wine or a glass of deep red wine, as well as bubbles. I think I always started with the bubbles years and years ago. But yeah, I just didn't drink, but I do drink wine now. But beer, yeah, I've never really tried it. I've never had interest in it. And I don't think I'm missing out on anything. I imagine A doesn't think he's missing out on anything with coffee. I have only had coffee once, really. I had to drink it for Turkish grounds, like to have those red, Turkish coffee readings. You have to drink like a small, like little espresso. I had to drink that. I think I had a taste of it when I was very young. Outside of that, I've never really enjoyed coffee, had coffee, interested in coffee, nothing like that. So it's interesting about drinks. Things that we haven't tried or done before. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny, interesting as I was listening to you and thinking about it for myself. We might have dabbled, right? We might have tried something, but like just left it really quick. I know there's tons of things I haven't tried. I've not tried surfing. I've not tried, kiteboarding. I haven't tried snowboarding. I think you have tried, you guys snowboard. Um, Gosh, all the lacrosse, field hockey, football, um, basketball. Although with basketball, funnily enough, I love the game of basketball, and I was a basketball referee. Back in my DC days, there was a rec league. It was called Washington Sports Club. They're across the whole country. And they needed a referee for their league. And so I refed men's like intramural basketball. It was really fun. And boy, you got a workout in going back and forth. You had to know the rules and everything. Again, I've never played basketball, but I understand the sport and I did enough to ref. So I think that's kind of funny. But there's just all the sports, right? Like I haven't done much of anything. I'm also not like a big hiker. Like I've taken hikes, but like, like people out in the Pacific Northwest, they're like serious hikers. Like they get their day packs and like, what do they call it? Like they pack it in like miles, right? And then they get in there and then they make all their food and do all that. Like I am not a camper or even a hiker. Like we'll take like a light hike for like an hour or so and enjoy. And that's it. And one time we were in the Joshua Tree area on Southern California, and we took a hike early. We are the worst people. Like, we don't take water, we don't take maps, we have our phone on us. But like, we're terrible. We don't have any provisions. And we kind of got caught out a little bit. Like, we didn't know where we were and the heat was coming on. And like, because we were doing it really early, because you need to do it early because you're in the desert there. And I was like, oh my God, how are we gonna find our car? Because we had actually driven into this hiking thing. So we weren't like in a parking lot. It was actually like that type of hiking where you do it by mile marker or something or hiking marker. Well, luckily, we were on a very, people, they're like, we'll go on that path. So eventually someone happened upon us and they were like, yeah, this is how you get out. Thank God, right? Like, I would have been suck. We're the sort of people who like go off on like a 3 hour car drive and don't have any provisions, no snacks, no water, nothing. No, like we have the Judy bag, that big orange bag. I think Oprah promoted it years ago. We have that up in our like extra space area above the car. Um, so we would have some provisions. We at least have that, the Judy bag, but like, oh my God, like we're the worst. So, that really just turned me off of hiking in general. Like, if it's just like an easy little loop and everyone's there, fine. But like, there's a lot of things I've touched, but I have not pursued actively. And that's why I feel like I haven't done it really, right? Like, I haven't packed it in and slept in an overnight camp or like taken a big long hike with lots of provisions out there all day. No. Um, so I think that I got a little I got this sense that that's also you. Like you've touched on a lot of things and maybe skipped the stone across a lot of stuff, but really digging in and doing it or trying it for like not so much. I think that's kind of interesting how we try a lot, but we don't do a lot. Let's just say that. Maybe there's a difference between trying and doing. Like you try a lot, you don't do a lot, and some things you don't do at all.
Yes, Muffy, you have tried things. I think that's pretty amazing. Wow, the ostrich, or I forget what it was called, but pigeon, friend. I have to divulge that I absolutely hate pigeons. I don't see the purpose on them. I don't understand why. I mean, I feel bad. I'm speaking poorly about pigeons, but I can't imagine eating pigeon. I mean, good for you. I don't know. That's one thing I think I would not do. But yeah, I think it's great. Like the RK has opened you up to trying new things and eating different things. I mean, that's like an amazing thing, right? It's part of what it's like to be a couple, or it's just that you give each other like different things, different perspectives, different experiences that you can share with them. I remember when I wasn't married yet, but I was living with A, and we got invited. I was invited to be in a friend of mine's wedding in Northern Ireland, and so we were going to go over there. But he was like, "Oh my god, no! Isn't that like where they bomb people and stuff?" And I was like, "Hey, it's okay. I've been there like 5 times before that, so um, I'm like, you'll be okay." He's like, well, he was kind of of the mindset that, like, why would you leave the US when there's so much um, to experience right here in the US? And I'm like, because there's a whole world, right? Anyway, I took him on this trip and he was just fascinated the whole time. I mean, we still have a little piece that was like a shelling or metal that came from a police station that had been bombed, and he loved it. And he got the travel bug. So, like, I hadn't been a ton of places, but I had been adventurous as like a high school student. And I know my mom, I mean, she had me when she was much older. My mom actually went around Europe with a friend, and I was like back in the, I don't know, I want to say 1950. I mean, women didn't really do that. She also drove around the country, so she was a little bit adventurous, especially when she was younger. But, so I kind of always had that travel bug in me because of her stories and sharing that experience with me. But, I did go to Germany when I was like a sophomore in high school, I think. And that was just like amazing, like a totally new experience. So, yeah, I think we can pass along. Um, and share some fun things with our partners that they've never. Um, Speaking of which, I had never gone to Maine before. He has a place in Maine, and my mom grew up going to the beaches in Maine. But now I love Maine. We got married in Maine. However, there are a lot of places that I haven't and I'd love to go. I don't know if I will or not, and it's okay if I don't. I have traveled, not as much as you and RK, but A and I traveled quite a bit when we didn't have children. Um, but yeah, I'm hoping maybe we get back to that a little bit. But I haven't been to Malaysia. I would love to go to New Zealand. I know you talked about New Zealand. I remember my son went with her family and her young boys, and they went in a caravan all around New Zealand. Now, I was very skeptical because I was like, there's no way. This friend was just like, she likes comfortable things, you know? I'll just put it that way. She would not want to camp, most likely. I mean, she can be adventurous, but I could not envision her in this caravan. And she said they had the best time ever. They went for 3 weeks. They lived in Hong Kong for a long time. And then a lot of people would go to New Zealand and hire these caravans and drive all around the country. And I've always, after hearing her experience, she said it was actually really fabulous. They met lots of people. They had a really good time. I think I could do that for sure. So yeah, I mean, I've never been to India. I'd like to go. I think I've mentioned I've never been to Russia, but I would really like to go. But yeah, it hasn't been the right time to go to Russia in many, many years. So, I've never been to Thailand. So there, like a lot of the East Asia places I haven't really been. I mean, there's some places I don't really need to go to, like countries in the Middle East per se, although, I am fascinated by like going to Israel. I've heard, from people, I have another friend, A, who went to Israel on like a women's leadership trip, and she said it was amazing. And I worked with some people who were from Israel, and they always just have the most amazing things to say about it. So it definitely intrigues me. I always thought I was good at languages. I think I'm good at certain kinds of languages, more so than others. I wouldn't say I'm great. I don't have a great memory. I'm not a fluent speaker, I think, in anything. I did take German for a number of years and I really enjoyed it. But that clicked with me. I mean, taking German, it actually helped me to learn like English, which it's just like the sentence structure of German really helps somebody to understand like where the nouns and pronouns and everything. So I actually ended up in AP English and I attributed to taking German. But I mean, when it comes to French, oh my God, both my girls take French and it's just like blah, 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 blah. It's kind of like Joey on Friends. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know if you've ever seen that episode. You probably haven't because you haven't watched Friends, but um, he, CB tried to teach him French and she'll say like, Je m'appelle, and he'll be like, blah, 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 blah. See, I'm speaking French. That's me when it comes to French. I've never tried Chinese. Um, that's another one. I know that one is very hard because even people that I have come across who are from China or different parts of China, they say like there's so many different variations of the language that they can't even speak. Some of the languages of friends that live in other villages because it's different. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that's one I'm ever going to tackle. And it doesn't particularly attract me. I mean, I don't need to put the language down. It is super fascinating and interesting with all the characters, but it's not something that I think Russian makes me like, it's just, I don't know. There's something about it that I really like. Remember that movie, A Fish Called Wanda? I think Jamie Lee Curtis, she always fell for the guy when he spoke like different languages. And that's what I feel like in terms of like the Russian language. I don't know why. I love that you want to be a UN translator in another life. Yeah, have you ever seen that movie? I think it's with Nicole Kidman. I haven't, but I want to. I think in another life, I would like to be a spy, as you know. Yeah, so there's so many things like, I never tried fast food until I was in college. And people used to like look at me strangely because my parents never took me to fast food. But when I was running cross country and, as a teen, we would go to these meets on the weekends and they were a good drive. And after, running 3 miles and warming up and warming down, like basically 5 miles, we were super hungry. And so I had fast food. I had McDonald's for the first time. There's a lot of fast food companies that I haven't had or I haven't had the food from. Um, like I think McDonald's and Burger King. I mean, when you talk about fast food, like I don't think about like Buffalo Wild Wings as fast food, but I don't know. I put it in a different category than McDonald's. Maybe other people would disagree. I mean, like I've never had Popeyes. I don't know what are some of the other ones. I had never been to a Chuck E. Cheese until one of my girls were invited to a birthday party there. I mean, that place scares me. My girls have not had fast food except for when their grandmother took them. I don't know why she would have done that. I guess because they have those climbing bowls and she was with a friend with another kid and they didn't know what to do with the kids. So they took them to McDonald's. I kind of find that strange, but whatever. Wow, I didn't realize your dad was trilingual. That is pretty cool. And it's too bad that you didn't grow up learning some of the languages that he grew up with. But there are some things that we don't pass down to our children. Now, I will say, I was laughing when you said that you and RK are very unprepared when it comes to hiking. Because I have a couple of stories where that was also the case with A and I. We went mountain biking in Moab. They have this famous trail, and it was like noon, and the guide was like, okay, and it was summer, and I was pregnant. I was about like 8 weeks pregnant. And the guy was like, you need to take a lot of water. So Andrew had a couple of gallons of water, then he put on his back. I mean, we were not prepared for that heat. We didn't last very long. I mean, we made it like a mile in, but I couldn't do a lot of it. Not because I was pregnant, just it was really technically very challenging. Another time we were in Palm Springs and we're like, oh, and in the summer, and it's like 110, right? And of course, we went out for a hike at noon. We made it 1 mile. Can you believe that? Yeah, I mean, you can, right? So I agree and disagree. You can try a lot of things, but you don't do a lot of things. I would have to say I've tried and done those things quite a bit, like mountain biking and hiking. But yeah, I've tried a lot that I haven't gone back to. It is an interesting way to look at it, but it just fascinates me, like with my upbringing, like that there were certain things that I never got to try. And I wasn't ever introduced to it. Just like you, never being introduced to sports or the possibility of sport. I think about all the things that I haven't introduced to my girls, and oh my, I mean, I think, the ability to try new things, do new things, is a result of those that you surround yourself with. Thanks for listening to Girls Who Gab with Habs and Muffy, where we talked about all the things we've somehow never tried, like cotton candy or random sports, and the things we have tried, but only once and never again. It's a casual dive into missed experiences, weird firsts, and the stuff that just didn't stick. For more, follow us on Instagram at Girls Who Gab with Habs and Muffy. Until next time, when we talk about exercise.